Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Johnson. I'll be your moderator for this session. Please send me all your questions or comments in the chat or question area. I'd like to welcome Lanette Sorensen today to our program. She's going to be talking about don't let anyone dull your sparkle. I know we're all feeling it, and this program's about beating stress one step at a time. Lanette comes to us very qualified. She is the training and exercise coordinator for the Utah Department of Health in the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services, and she's worked for UDOH for the last 15 years in various and multiple capacities, but she says that this is her favorite. She likes the training and education part, and she spends most of her time working with hospitals and clinics throughout the state and other various agencies and EMS agencies. She's currently assigned to the Unified Command for COVID, the COVID Unified Command Group, and her responsibilities include mental health. And a lot of what she's going to talk about today, she's been putting together for us, for those of us in the Unified Command who are feeling the stress of doing this since March. And that's her primary role right now. I think one of the neat things we need to tell you about Lanette before we turn her loose here is that she is an active firefighter, an advanced EMT with both Garland and Tremont fire departments, and that she trains search and rescue dogs. She is also, to add to all that list, the Garland emergency manager, the city of Garland up in Box Elder. So with that, Lanette comes to us very well qualified, and we're going to turn you loose, Lanette. The show is yours. Again, please send us your questions. We'll tackle those at the end.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff, and we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. Let's see. All right, so I just wanted to introduce the title of this presentation, Don't Let Anyone Dull Your Sparkle. So anybody that knows me knows that I love pen and paper. I love to write things down. I keep my schedule in a written calendar, and so every year I look for new calendars. And several weeks ago, I went with my friend. We drove to Chicago to pick up a new puppy, and we stopped in Missouri. And that's where I happened to find my new planner for this next year, which is Don't Let Anyone Dull Your Sparkle. And it just fit me perfectly, and so I got it. And with everything that we're hearing about mental health, the crisis, everybody is, experiencing some level of stress. I thought it would be the perfect title to our topic for today. So anyway, that is what it is. It's called Don't Let Anyone Dull Your Sparkle. And so as we go along today, I want you to find your sparkle again and to be able to smile and really mean that. All right, so I probably just moved it ahead about 4 slides because it's not moving. There we go. All right. So I love this slide because it shows all the different intentions of change. So change is inevitable. The world moves on day after day after day, sometimes whether we like it or not. But how we react to it is a choice that we get control over. So there's change, there's value, there's success, there's structure, there's knowledge, there's all sorts of things that we get to choose the best way to react to the current events and what's going on around us. Before we get too far in, I wanted to let you know about this great something that you have available to you right now, today. In the state of Utah, we have great health and human services personnel who have been working so hard on the Utah Strong Project to be there for you in the event that you need help. So if you're overwhelmed with stress, if you can't, cope, if there's something that you need, please reach out to them. They have got this line. You can call or text the 385-386-2289 number, or you can email them, or if you have to talk to somebody after hours, then you could call the 1-800-273-8255 or talk number, and somebody will be there to catch you. And know that this is anonymous, and even it doesn't matter where you live in the state of Utah, they will give you the resources that you need for the area where you are from. So please know that this is available. This is also one of the handouts, so I think you can go in and download this if you need that as well. All right, so I really only have one objective for you today, and that's just to give you a little different perspective on stress and some useful tools, you know, that will make you better at reacting to it. Okay. I love this quote by Shakespeare. It comes from the Hamlet play, and it says, "For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." And we'll talk a little bit about how that differs in each one of us as we go along. So stress occurs when the pressure is greater than the resource. So stress, whether it's a perceived threat, and this could be real or imagined, this could be to our mind, to our body, to our spirit, or our emotions, is our own interpretation. So our body's natural response to this is going to be the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And if you've ever experienced this, then you kind of know there's a physical effect to that as well. So these perceived threats are different for everyone, and it might not necessarily be the situation, but the response that we have to the situation. So stress can also grow slowly. It can be unnoticed, or we could just choose to ignore it. This could be for days, weeks, months, or years. So lack of time, lack of information, and a lack of motivation can cause us, to build it up until something breaks under this pressure. So let's talk about a few different kinds of stress. So there's acute stress, all right, and that's very intense, but also very short-lived. Acute stress is about 20 minutes. This is something that comes unexpected, and it's brief. Your heart starts to pound, you feel like you're out of breath, your palms might get sweaty. This is a physiological, event. There's also chronic stress, which is less intense, but for a longer duration. And this is due to unaddressed and unresolved problems that continue mounting over a period of time. This can linger for days and weeks and months and even years. So what I'd like to ask you today is, do you stress? Meaning you stress, and that's the good kind of stress. So if everybody will take a look at this. So distress, here's some of the symptoms for this. You can have both ends of the spectrum, I believe. You've got impaired attention, boredom, confusion, and apathy. Sometimes we mistake this for not having any stress or just not caring, but it's really actually a type of stress to our bodies. On the other end of that, we've got disorganized behavior, burnout, panic, impaired focus, and that's also abnormal. So both of those are the distress level. So the eustress, or the good kind of stress, helps us maintain that focused attention. We've got the rational thinking, we've got emotional balance, optimal performance, helps us with our positive challenges. That's what helps create excitement and motivation and enhancement to the things that we're doing. So I've got our very first poll question coming to you from Jeff.
We will leave this up for about 30 or 45 seconds. Everybody jump in and answer what kind of stress you're experiencing. We're hitting the 50% mark right now, and about 15 more seconds, we'll close it. So if you know what kind of stress you're having, tab one of those two. Five more seconds. Okay. We're gonna share this with everybody. Back to you, Lanette.
Awesome.
It shows 75% eustress and 25%.
Okay, good. Distress. Okay, great. All right, well, I'm experiencing a little bit of that eustress today to try and help, keep us on the good side of presenting. Whether you're in eustress or distress, we've got some great activities for you to do today. And if you get the chance in the next 5 minutes or so, I need you to grab a clean sheet of paper and a pencil or a pen too. We're going to do an activity later on. All right. Okay. Can I have the screen back so I can move forward?
It should be back to you.
There we go. There we go. All right. So one of the great things about stress, and whether we realize this or not, stress is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. So remember, it comes from daily stress or major traumatic stressors or countless smaller stressors that really take the toll. Something that I teach my EMT students all the time, or I tell them all of the time, is that the human body is amazing. So while you're watching this, not only are you cognitively, learning, but you're physically learning, you're emotionally learning, you're behaviorally learning. Everything is linked together. So when you're stressed, it's not just one area of your body that's stressed, it's your whole body that's stressed. And so it's important that we, we might just think, oh, stress is kind of a mental thing. It's, just something I need to overcome or something that I need to deal with. It actually affects your whole entire body. And so that's why it's so important that we learn how to manage the stress so that we can actually manage the symptoms that might manifest later. All right, so I've got another question for you. I'm just going to put that up. That'll be poll question number 2.
Okay. Again, we'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds. Tell us what is most affected by your stress, your physical, your mental, or your emotional. About 50% of the people have voted. We're about 30 seconds in. We'll give you 15 more seconds.
Great.
Okay, 5 more. And we're going to go ahead and close this poll and put the results up on the screen. So there's your results. 23 are physical, 34 are mental, and 43 are emotional. Pretty good split there, really. Lanette,
Yeah, it is.
we're going to give it back to you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so one of the things that I also think is important to understand is You need to remember that all stress is not equal. Every single one of us come with a different set of personal experiences and obstacles. They're even if you're a twin, or even if you're really close, with your brothers or sisters or family or friends, everybody is unique. So personal experiences are developed through childhood, through the influences of others, even if those are positive or negative, because both have influence over you. Your parents, religion, work, relationships, any major life changes, your financial situation, or injury and illness that you have experienced. That's going to help build you. And so how you react to stress might be different than how somebody else reacts to that. And sometimes the biggest issue that we have to overcome is actually ourselves. So I am sure that everybody's heard how we need to overcome negative self-talk, kind of the mind traps that we put ourselves in, any pessimistic thinking, self-criticism, over-analyzing every situation. I know right now that that's a very common thing because just of the time that we're in. Unrealistic expectations is a big one too. And a lot of this has to do with how much time you spend on social media. And just to be frankly honest about it, not everybody posts, how bad their life is. Everybody likes to post positive things, likes to let everybody know how well they're doing. And so we think that we need to do better, or at least be on the same line as everybody else. But really what we're seeing is just a picture and a moment in time, and not necessarily the entire situation. Again, the next one, taking things personally. A lot of us are doing right now. We're taking too many things way too personal, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. One of the other things that I teach my students is, especially if we respond to somebody, first responders, we respond a lot to people on their worst days. They've had a bad wreck, maybe they overdosed, maybe they're just not mentally balanced the day that we get there. But the things that they're saying, the things that they're screaming at us, don't necessarily have anything to do with us. And so we have to learn not to take those things personally, because they just have hit their pressure point. They've hit the tipping point where the resource is less than what they have to deal with at that moment. The all or nothing mentality, exaggerated responses, and rigid thinking, it's really something else that we tend to do a lot of. So kind of what we bring to the table and what we've developed and what we nurture all helps us on how we respond to stress. So there's a few things physiologically that happen when we get stressed, okay? Anytime we have any physical or emotional changes in life, that especially with acute stress, again, our body's an amazing machine, so our hormones start to work on, and our adrenals start pumping adrenaline into the bloodstream. And that's where our blood pressure rises, our heart rate increases, our breathing becomes really shallow and rapid. And what happens is we get all the brain diverts the blood from non-essential activities, meaning thinking, from higher priority tasks. So our large muscles, such as our arms and our legs, get more blood because we're on the run, right? And the higher level reasoning sections of our brain gets less blood, all right? And there's a host of other reactions that take place, chemically in our bodies from our hormones that also that build up and that can decrease our physical wellness. But those are the big things. I love this picture because you only have to be faster than the person behind you. And here are some of our body's visible signs of stress. There's a lot of things up here: physically, emotionally, cognitively, that display and behaviorally when we're under stress, especially prolonged stress. Some of these just sound normal, being fatigued, being anxious, being hyper alert, having changes to your appetite. Some of these can change. You can have some, you could have none, you could have all of them. Like I said, everybody's a little bit different. When they become overwhelming to where you can't deal with them anymore, that's really when you need to reach out and seek some professional help. But remember that stress is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. So, depending where you're at, will depend what you need to do for it. So this is also not an inclusive list. So some individuals exposed to the same event may not suffer any effects, and this is a normal reaction as well. Okay, so while some of these reactions can be alarming and unsettling, it's just important to remember that, again, these are normal reactions to an abnormal situation. I believe right now we're in an abnormal situation, so, we have to work extra hard, at managing ourselves. So that's the big question that we have and that everybody has and that everybody wants to know what to do with is, where does that leave us? We're in a situation where opinions vary, and not just a little bit, but they vary greatly. The stakes are high, emotions are extremely strong. What I want to focus on today and what I want you to focus on is yourself and how you can learn how to manage the stress that you are experiencing, or somebody close in your family that you can help with. The great thing is you get to start with yourself and then work on those in your circle. So what I like to talk about is taking a magic deep breath. Okay, so that's where you can breathe in and breathe out for at least 3 seconds. And this is any time that you experience a stressful event, where you have a confrontation or an encounter that leaves you extremely stressed. I want you to take the magic deep breath. Okay, we're going to do a few things, and a lot of times you run into what is termed the Whiffing Principle, or what's in it for me. Okay, and so what's in it for you today is we're going to teach you a few techniques, and the first one is this magic deep breath. It allows time for the blood to circulate back to the higher reasoning sections of our brain, meaning that you're not running away, your legs aren't running, you're not pumping your arms, you're actually stopping, taking that deep breath and allowing that blood to get back to your brain so that it will allow you to respond better in any type of a stressful situation. And it also gives the appearance that you are taking ownership of your response and your actions. This is a great way, to look like you can manage anything. Okay, so let's try it. So I want everybody, first off, before you take your deep breath, I want you to relax your shoulders down from your ears and unclench your fists and your jaw, and then drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth. And then I want you to take a slow, deep breath, count in for 3 seconds and out for 3 seconds, and take a slow, deep breath. Really, really pull that in. And then just shake out your hands. And that helps you at least get started. What that does is that allows, anytime that you do this, it allows for the reasoning centers of your brain to boot back up and get online so that you can make the best decision instead of a strictly emotional decision. All right, so something else that you can do that is probably one of the best exercise that we have is a writing exercise. So everybody grab your piece of paper and your pen, and I'm going to have you do writing exercises. So a lot of us tend to just dump our emotions, whether that's on the people that are around us, whether that's our family, especially those with you, if you've been on lockdown, if you've been in quarantine, or for right now your social circles are very small. We just tend to dump our emotions on everyone else. which can be dangerous because then everybody starts to pick up on everybody else's energy and it just gets a little weary. And after so long, you're tired and you can't carry everybody's garbage, okay? So I want everybody to pick one stress, even those that are experiencing the eustress today. I want everybody to pick one stress that you have today. And we're going to let you, I've got an egg timer here, and we'll probably only go for about a minute and a half on this writing exercise, but it's so useful to help get those emotions out, okay? We're going to have you free write, but this is a technique you can take back. And when you do this, especially if you did it maybe at night before you go to bed, it might help release some more, some of those emotions. You get to write anything you have ever wanted to say about it. Nobody's going to censor it. Nobody's going to look at it. And that's actually, one of the rules is that this is for you only. It's for your eyes only. You don't have to share it. You don't have to be obligated for anybody to read it or look at it. And, who cares how you spell or if you're using correct grammar. Sign and date it at the top. And, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hopefully everybody's picked what they're going to write about. I'm going to flip my egg timer. We're going to say go, and I'm just going to say free write for about a minute and a half, and I'm going to play some music for you while you're doing this. And go. Anything you've ever wanted to say, good or bad, nice or not nice. Go ahead and get that out. Okay, you have about 30 seconds left. So anything else you've ever wanted to say, anything that you've ever wanted to get out about what you're stressed about, write it out. Okay, and that's time. So everybody stop. You don't even need to go back and read what you wrote. Go ahead and take that piece of paper and I want you to rip it into tiny little shreds. Once you've ripped it up into tiny little shreds, I want you to throw it away. And I want you to throw it away somewhere where you're not going to go back and get it and tape it together and think, oh, I've still got this stress. It's still giving me a heartache today. This is something that you need to let go, rip it up, and throw it away. The great thing about using this writing exercise as a part to dumping our emotions on somebody is you're not, weighing down, contributing to a negative situation. You're getting it out in a constructive way. And if there's a lot of times when we're doing these exercises, questions will come up, things that we need to do or we need to work on, or something else may come out. If you need to figure out a way, to work on that, then you need to out loud ask yourself that question: how can I solve this problem? And again, that's the great thing about the human body is once you've said that out loud, your mind is going to start working on a solution to that. It might not come, within a minute or two, an hour or two, or, a day or two, but your mind is going to start working on that specific problem and how you can solve that. And so that's really what makes this a great writing exercises, because then we can really get down to what it is that's really stressing us out. This is one of our techniques, of dealing with stress. You can get really creative with this exercise. Color is really fun to do this with. I had one of my clients do this exercise. She used a red pen and she wrote 3 pages about how I made her do this writing exercise. So you can really do it any way you want. Music is a great way to help us release our emotions as well. So there's there's so much that you can add to this writing exercise. Choose your colors mindfully because each color has a very strong emotions attached to it. So use your colors, use your music to help you move all those emotions out. All right, so I'm going to get to some other things of what you can do today. So if you're taking notes, these are notes that you get to keep, and you don't have to throw these away. But you need to make your SOS list. All right, so these are 3 to 5 people that you can call at a moment's notice when you get overwhelmed. Anybody that you could call day or night, 24/7. Okay. We always talk about self-care, and a lot of us just think, I'm pretty tough. I don't need this. I don't need to worry about self-care, but we really do. So these are some of the ones that I listed, some healthy activities that when you're just completely overwhelmed, you can just stop and do one of these at a moment's notice. For example, you can go for a walk. You can write it out in a letter format, listening to your favorite music, do service for somebody else, or do a gratitude exercise. Okay. Again, I love the write it out in a letter format. If anybody has ever had the opportunity to read Lincoln on Leadership, Abraham Lincoln was known for writing out his angry letters, but never mailing them. And that would help him get his frustrations out so that he could see a clear path, for negotiations or for dealing with, certain issues. When my children were young enough and they were home, and instead of doing timeout or grounding or anything like that, I loved, especially in the summer when my garden had a lot of weeds, I loved to do what's called the gratitude exercise. And so that was, go out and pull the weeds, and every time you pull a weed, name something that you're grateful for. I really need them around right now because I have to do dishes on my own, or I would have them do dishes, and every time they did a dish, washed a dish, then they would have to name something that they were grateful for. And that's kind of a good way to help us to remember all of the great things that we have, even though times might be a little bit rough. Okay. Something else that we can do is completely unplug from technology for a set amount of time. Okay. If you can only last 5 minutes without your phone, then start for 5 minutes. If you can last an hour, 24 hours overnight, anything that you can do to unplug from that technology, that will certainly help to lighten your load. And then, as always, if it gets to be too much and you just simply cannot deal with it and you need to seek professional help. Right now you've got access to the Utah Strong Project, and they can also direct you, to local resources if you need some more support. That's what they're there for, and they would love to help you. All right, we've got one more poll question. And Jeff, if you want to go ahead and give up that poll question right now, that would be great.
Here's our next poll question. It says, what strategies can you commit to doing today? Please select one. Your SOS call list, self-care techniques, unplug from technology, or seek professional help. We'll give you 45 seconds to answer this. Please pick one. We've got 50+% that have voted.
Awesome. And remember, these are just so simple that you can do today. You have to start somewhere, and one of these is a great place to start.
So about 10 more seconds. We'll close the poll here in a moment and show it to everybody. So we have 60% of those online voted. We'll close it. And here are the results. You can see that 10% said the SOS, 61% said self-care techniques, probably common in the age of COVID.
Yes.
Unplugged from technology, 28%. And nobody out there, Lanette, which is, I guess, good, needs professional help. Okay.
Good.
I'm going to go ahead and hide that and turn it back to you.
Perfect. Thanks. All right. So I want everybody to state out loud with me that says, I commit to creating my SOS list, to developing my self-care activities. I want you to say it out loud. I commit to this, to whatever you wrote down, to complete today, so that you can get started and really get going, because your mental health is so important. And I'm so glad that you chose to be here today. Stress has always been a big part of my life. Having suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder myself, I realized, it's hard to take that first step and to reach out and to even, get any help whatsoever. And so, I've chosen to take that and to serve others. I serve on the critical incident stress management state team, and I'm also starting a new peer program support in Box Elder County for our firefighters and EMS and law enforcement and first responders. So we all, cope in different ways. And, so I hope that you guys will commit to starting today. All right. So probably one of the most important things to remember is there is not one thing that works for everyone. So you have to find what works for you. What works for me may not necessarily work for you. And that, again, is what makes us great as individuals, is that we all have something to bring to the table. So I would love to hear how you all deal with stress. You might have something fun that I haven't thought of yet. That would be great. Here are some other tools. Have a couple more of these to go through. Again, your writing exercise, that is one of the best ones, and I encourage you to do that. It only takes however many minutes you set, 1 to 3 minutes. I wouldn't suggest going over more than 3 to 5 minutes, because then we're just dwelling. We just want you to get out the stuff that you might dump on somebody else. Let's dump it on a piece of paper and then, rip it up, somehow destroy it, and let it go. But journaling, I know sometimes when we say the word journal, everybody gets, the idea that, I started today by, and then you've got to spend a half an hour writing everything that you did. Journaling can be just as simple as your writing exercise. Every day you should be doing something for yourself. You should be doing something for somebody else, and doing something for a specific goal that you're working on. And if it's all one-letter words, that's perfectly fine. You're writing it down. You're getting it down. Always list something that you're grateful for, because that helps us to remember all that we have. And then if we find that there's some negative self-talk that we need to work on, you can make some notes and do some of these writing exercises, and then cross it off when you're done. And if you had something fabulous happen, during the day, go ahead and write that down and note it as well. One of the most important things you can do for these exercises is always make sure to date it and sign it, especially if you're going to keep a journal. That way, when you're having a really tough day, even though you've overcome something before, you can go back and look. Oh, I had this happen today, and this is how I got through it. Maybe I need to try that again. It helps to remind us how we succeeded. And, that, which is always a great thing. All right, here's some other quick tools, because I know we're getting down on our time. But here's some other tools to manage your stress. Prioritization is a huge one. Probably the biggest one is prioritizing what's really important, what really matters at the most. I think one of the great things that the year 2020 has brought us is the realization of what's truly important. And to me, what I have found is that really my family is the most important. The things that I have been doing, and everything that I have experienced over this past year has made me realize that my family literally is the most important thing. Staying physically active, and physically active could mean anything to anybody. That's whether you just are able to get up and walk to the mailbox or walk to the front door, or able to go out, for a 1 to 5 mile walk. Whatever you have to do to stay physically active is very, very healthy for you. Living a healthy lifestyle, eating good foods, drinking a lot of water is also going to help you, because a healthy body reacts better to stress than an unhealthy body. So we want to minimize, the caffeine, minimize any alcohol, minimize any, any other habits that might take a toll on your physical self. And then practicing mindfulness. The journaling that we mentioned before is a way to practice mindfulness. So, which I think that is very important. And then laughter. Laughter is huge. Whether you realize this or not, laughter gives you power. It helps you cope. It helps keep you balanced. It provides a perspective, and sometimes it reduces the hardening of the attitudes. So when you laugh, your body's releasing the good hormones. You're letting that stress out, and it's more helpful for you. So again, everybody shrug your shoulders and get your shoulders off of your ears, and unclench your jaw and your fist, and let your tongue, come off of the roof of your mouth. And just, take that deep breath. Another book that I really love is called The Happiness Advantage. And it has been so great. I found this several years ago, and it's amazing, the tools that are in it. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to learn more about that as we go on. So here are a few of the most important points that I want you to remember from this presentation today. Probably the biggest one is, remember that you get to choose how you respond to any given situation, okay? Many of our stressors are rooted deeply into our daily habits. Having rigid standards and expectations often lead to higher stress because we're expecting too much of ourselves and those around us. Okay, and then unmanaged stress can physically affect your body, as we've seen, and then you get the spillover effect, which is the same as dumping your emotions on everybody. We all work, whether you work inside your home or outside of your home. When you take that stress, and dump it on everybody else, that's what we call a spillover effect. And so being able to do these writing exercises and other exercises really help let that go, so that you're minimizing the stress that you have in your environment. And then just utilizing the tools, can help you change your balance, your stress life balance in what you're doing. So remember, it's your choice. You get to either laugh about it or you get to cry about it. And I choose to laugh and smile. What would you choose? And I wanted to one of my very favorite projects. So I'm the Wellness Council Chair in my building. And several years ago, like I mentioned, I came across this book called The Happiness Advantage. I encourage everybody to Google it. And as I was reading, it gave me an idea for what I call the happiness project. So the very first happiness project I did was the Highland Happiness Project. And so I've also been doing with the Unified Command Group, and we do it again. It's the building's favorite activity that we do every year. So we do it at least once a year. So I thought, anybody who is interested, I invite you to participate with us. If you would like to join in some fun activities, the best way that I found to do this was so that everybody could see it. I'm not going to email you or anything like that, but you can check out the blog. It's Aim with Energy, which is Awareness in Motion with Energy, blogspot.com. And starting Monday, I'll start week 1. There'll be 8 weeks of things, self-directed activities, some challenges, some fun activities that you can do that maybe you haven't before, or a lot of times it's just a good remembrance of things that we can do that help with our mental health. I encourage you to join with us and do these projects. Anyway, that is all that I have. Thank you so much for your attendance today. Thanks for being present. Thanks for participating in my little activities. And if you've had any questions and you've sent them to Jeff, he'll let me know with that right now. And then, as always, if you need help today, you need to reach out to somebody today, there's always the Utah Strong Project. So you can call or text them, and somebody will respond to you.
Lanette, you had them busy enough. There wasn't a lot of questions. We did have some nice comments. We had a comment that said, "Thank you so much for this." And another one that says, "Well, I'm learning more how to handle it."
Good.
We got some comments back thanking you and asking and indicating that they're learning from this. So with that, Lanette, do you have anything else? If not, we're going to turn it back over to our host, Wade Matthews.
Actually, there is one question there. It says, what was the name of the blog from Robin? What was the name of the blog?
The blog from Lanette, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. It's just AIM, AIM with energy.blogspot.com. And I posted a little, and I have to thank everybody that is on this presentation today. It's because of you. I did this blog spot, and anybody who knows me is probably really shocked that I even did a blog, because like I said, I'm very much pen and paper, and so doing something new electronically, there should be some people that are really impressed with that. And so I started this blog just for you today. So I hope you'll join us on Monday, and starting with the Happiness Project. It's so fun, and you'll really enjoy it.
Okay.
Thanks,
yes.
Lanette.
Right, absolutely. Yes, thank you, Jeff and Lanette. And yes, Kathy Meyer says she's going to be sharing this with her healthcare workers, and Robin says thank you. And so, yes, thank you very much, Lanette. And so with that, we are going to enter another break till the top of the hour, but we do have another sponsor commercial for you if you want to see one of these, one of our Be Ready Utah memes. If you only had 10 minutes to evacuate, what would you bring with you? Okay, and I think we have a short video here.
I don't know. I can see good possibilities either way. What do you think?
I don't know, but I'm going to make an executive decision. Let's order the chicken.
I agree. Governor, what's that under your desk?
Oh, that is my disaster supply kit. I keep it under my desk so that in case of a disaster, I have the necessary things to help keep me going until I can get home.
Huh. I should do that.